If you want to beat your competition, you need to know exactly what they're doing. That's where tools like EverBee come into play. So I reached out to Leslie. Now, you may have seen her on EverBee's channel. She's a seasoned seller, a marketing expert, and someone who absolutely crushes it daily. So she's going to be joining me today to walk you through her go-to strategies and how to use EverBee to spot opportunities, outsmart your competitors, and dominate Etsy. So trust me, this is one video that you do not want to skip. But real talk real quick, if you do skip around and half-ass watch this, then don't be surprised when you keep getting average results. Because people who go all in will always outperform those who don't. So lock in, take notes, and let's get serious about making 2025 the best year for you on Etsy. Hey Leslie, so thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to go over the different strategies of EverBee, the tips and tricks and things that I personally don't even know myself. I know everybody is stoked for it. So, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me.
So I don't really know too much on what to say or how to do anything. So I'm just going to give you
That's totally fine.
Here, and you can take it off.
Yeah, totally. So guys, first of all, thanks for having me. This is just such a humbling experience because I've actually been watching George for a while and I didn't think he even knew who I was. So it was really cool to be able to be like even, considered to like be able to kind of walk you guys through some stuff. So just to let you know, I personally am like a full-time content creator myself, but I also was in the Etsy space for around 6 years. I still am in the Etsy space every single day, but for other people's shops. So that's what I'm really excited about, to kind of like give you the knowledge from the past and the current, but also just like the new things that EverBee has going on in the future, and also the new things we just brought in like literally 2 weeks ago. So there's a lot of really cool stuff to go over. So if you don't mind, George, I want to share my screen
really quick before you do share your screen. I mean, it is wild. I do want to note that every time I log into EverBee, there's something new.
Literally.
I love it because I love playing with new things. And every single time though, it's like, wow, oh my God, I need to play with this now. Then I get stuck for hours sitting there moving around. So
yeah, what I love is if you guys are familiar or if you ever want to look him up, by all means, his name is Cody McGuffey. He is the CEO and founder and owner like of EverBee. And we go way back, like 2 or 3 years now of us just like working together, and obviously a larger capacity now. But the thing that I have like absolutely loved about like his entire journey, and especially being able to like be with him in person and seeing him work, it is like the mind of a genius, truly. And what I really, really love is something that I personally noticed. I might be going completely off track here, but I think it's going to be cool for like this community, of course. But something that I really, really love is Cody is just like me, where we do not take like constructive criticism or feedback or whatever it is from the community as like a bad thing. A lot of CEOs could do that and they were like, we're the best, but Cody is like so freaking humble, and he like takes y'all's ideas and takes y'all's feedback and, oh, I wish we had this feature. And then he like makes it and then makes it even better in like 6 weeks or less. So it is absolutely wild to me.
I really think that
how fast it goes.
I work a lot, okay? And I think Cody works more than me because I end up yelling at him in a text message to respond to me until
like go to bed.
Just like keep blowing them up, and I'm like, respond to me. And I'm like, this guy works more than I do.
Oh my God, for real. And they just him and his wife actually just had another baby recently, and he's on Slack sometimes, and I'm like, go away, like go take care of your family. So anyways, I say all of that to let you guys know that like you are in like the most capable and caring hands. That's what I love the most about being like a part of that team. So anyways, with that said, I'll share my screen now before I go on like a crying soapbox, because I definitely could. All right, so I am going to basically just go like high level today. We could literally spend hours in here together. And of course, if you guys ever want to, by all means, feel free to tell George and we'll be back in action. But what I really want to focus on today are the things that kind of I use in my like daily basis. So the things that you guys can also just be basically putting into action like pretty immediately. So it's basically something what I was thinking would make sense today was kind of like how I process things and how I step by step them. And then you could do the exact same concept if you'd like. So In case you are unfamiliar, obviously if you're in this community, you obviously more than likely are an Etsy seller or you want to be. So if you're unfamiliar, EverBee is just, in our opinion, of course, a little biased here, of course, but in our opinion, it's the most robust and best tool and resource for Etsy sellers. Today, I'm going to go over EverBee research. There are 3 or 4 other things in the pipeline right now that'll go farther than that. But as of right now, I'm going to go over EverBee research. And then if you ever need email marketing for your business, we also offer EverBee email as well. So what I want to show you today, you'll see how it says EverBee research. Over here on the left-hand side, this is actually a Chrome extension. So it's just something that you can very simply add to Chrome. We actually do have a free hobby plan. So you could literally do this for free today. If you even want to go do it right now, like while I'm showing you, and then we can walk along together, that's totally fine. And then you basically just connect it, as you can see, Leslie Demo Store. You would just connect it to your store, and then you'll be able to kind of go through each of these things to spy on competitors, get an idea of what people are using in their like tags, because we obviously can't see that, you know, on Etsy ourselves. And then we're also going to be able to see like what people are actually searching as well. So there's a lot of really cool things in here. And of course, an Etsy calculator. I'll lightly go over that in a second, but it basically just shows you like how to confirm or deny if you're going to make profit in the future, but then also spy on competitors, whether or not like kind of confirming or denying if they are potentially utilizing a loss leader strategy. Because a lot of people, you guys have probably seen this 1,000 times, is, you know, you might be like, how the heck do I compete when I have a t-shirt from a print-on-demand provider that is $25, but then these people are selling it for like $7.99. How in the world? Why would I start an Etsy store? And this Etsy calculator is going to really help you with that, because it's going to basically tell us if that person has like a baby onesie that they're using, but then they're showing it as a t-shirt. So kind of just helps there. But like I said, I'm basically just going to go step by step to show you how I would use this. So the first thing I want to do is basically just type anything in. So let's just say we're recording this at the end of March. So we should be more than likely focusing on like Mother's Day, graduation, Father's Day, etc. over the next couple of weeks. So the first thing that we're going to see here is this is something that you guys, unless you have the Chrome extension for EverBee, will not be able to see. So again, if you're here with us, go ahead and go get that free hobby plan right now, get that Chrome extension loaded so you can see what I see. But if you do have it, you're basically going to see these, I call them like, I'm literally the only person that calls them this, but I stick by it. I call them worker bees. So these little worker bees kind of get to work for me. So they basically just show like these are things that are trending right now based off of the search that I did. And then over the course of the last 30 days, on average, how many times do people type these in? So what I really love is if I did not have the Chrome extension, I would still see these, of course, but I wouldn't know that Mother Day gift basket had that many people searching it. So maybe that's something that I should be thinking into. I should be digging deeper into. I should be going like doing more research, because I'm assuming these are going to be good, but I didn't know that one would. So not only does this allow us the opportunity to have more ideas and get more inspired to do deeper research, which, by the way, before George and I kind of like joined this live together, we both agreed that like data is, because I'm a nerd, data is like our favorite thing to do, probably in the entire process. So yes, it's going to help me do more research and dive more into these, but it's also going to show me which key phrases, whether they be long tail or individual keywords, are also potentially going to be, you know, we want to maybe add them to our master keyword list. So that's the first thing I want to hit on, is this guy right here. The second thing I want to hit on, and of course, George, I have you like on the left-hand side of this. So like do this at any time when you want me to shut up. I could talk about this stuff for hours. So you just let me know if you want to say anything. So I'll go ahead and...
I literally want to click around on this thing with the StreamYard, because I've only used StreamYard a couple times and there's so many options.
Yeah.
I want to click everywhere.
Which one should I touch? You're good. That's so funny. Okay, so then the next thing I want to hit on really quickly is this is a new feature. So this is probably one of the things that George was like, oh my God, that just showed up. This is a new feature as of I want to say November 2024, December 2024, something of the nature. We used to have to type something in here, click enter, and then go over here and go to product analytics. And then that would basically show us the revenue analytics, the conversion rate, the review rate, blah, 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 for each of the individual listings. But one of the main features that we were asked for, and again, like I said, like when you guys ask, Cody just freaking makes it and then makes it 10 times better than we could have ever imagined. We were looking for a high level overview. So this is kind of one of the newer things that came in Q4 of 2024. So it allows us, I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can see.
I actually love this feature because now you don't
absolutely. This is probably my favorite.
Yeah, you don't have to go into the actual listing itself anymore, and you had to originally, or click analyze on the listing. So it saves so much time.
Yeah, this is the thing that so we've honestly, I want to say there's like 6 new features that have come since November of last year. And this one and one other one are probably the ones that I use every single day, like clockwork, just because it's so much easier, like you said, and more convenient. That was kind of the goal here, was that convenience feature. Like, how can we make things easier for you guys within 1 click rather than like 3 or 4 clicks? So you'll see, I know you'll get into
this in a minute, but one of the features I really love is being able to backdate 30 days, 60 days.
Yes.
I know we were going to cover that in a minute, but I'll tell you what, I've been talking about that for like months, telling people, I wish it had this. I wish it had this. And one day I logged in and bam, it was there. Oh my God. I'm like going through every single different listing. I was like, this is amazing.
Heck yeah. It's funny you say that because this right here, this little high level overview, and the trends that's in beta right now that you're referring to are the 2 that I've been asking for too. And it's been the absolute best ones that I think, we obviously add a bunch of new things all the time, but over the past 3 years, I think these 2 are the top 2 for me that we've added that just completely changed the way that I do research every day. So I'm glad you said that because that's my favorite now too. So anyways, as it relates to the high level one, we have monthly sales, views, listing age. There is usually a 4th one, but I can't seem to see it. But anyway, so we'll just look at these 3 right now. But what I want to caution you guys on, this is something that not a lot of people do. So I want to make sure that I tell you guys so that you in this community have this kind of little life hack. We already have the life hack here, obviously. This is awesome. We can just basically scroll through this and be like, okay, we're seeing some blues here. We're seeing green here. As you can see, I have favorited this because I saw that it was a high conversion rate and it's only a year old. So you can scroll through here and make those executive decisions. However, what I like to do is go a little bit further. I'm just going to teach you guys a little life hack that I personally do. No one else probably does this like I do, but it really saves me some time personally. So we're going to come down to star seller. I know you guys probably know this, but let's just go to all filters, click star seller, and then up in the search bar, let me make sure you guys, you can. So in the search bar, and you probably already know this, but I'm just going to make this really easy. I'm going to change star to best so I can get all of the top performing people right now in something for me to look at. So when I do that, that now allows me, once the Chrome extension kind of gets to work, now I'm only seeing things that are performing right now. Rather than looking at, especially for Mother's Day gift, that phrase that we looked up, that could have been 2 million listings in itself that I would have to go through. So now I have a more fine-tuned list that is actually performing right now. So that's the first little step that I do, is I figure out whatever I want to pop into the search bar, and then I immediately go to all filters, make that quick change, and then I have better data to look at. So that's just something that I like to look at here. And then as it relates to what's the point of this, or what you could or should look at first, again, I'm probably different than most people, but I am more analytical and logical rather than reacting as an e-commerce buyer with emotions. A lot of people are going to go emotion based. I'm going to go numbers based personally. So what I like to do, or a lot of people are going to look at this number right here and be like, oh wow, 600,000, hell yeah, sign me up. This obviously is doing really well. And I would agree with you, but I actually personally look at these numbers first. So instead of looking at these numbers first and being maybe like mesmerized with them and then making decisions off of those, I actually look at these two metrics first and then confirm with these two metrics. And the reason why is listing age being 16 months is not as sexy to me as listing age being 6 months or listing age being 4 months. However, this conversion rate is a heck of a lot sexier than this one and this one. So I really like to kind of look at those first and see, like, can I find something that's 6 months old? Can I find something that's a year old or something of the sort, a little bit like younger in age that still has an incredible conversion rate? Because if you guys are not familiar, conversion rate is basically the people that came to the listing and then they actually made a purchase. So when I see this, even though, like, if I would have started here, I might have just skirted on by that. I might have completely ignored this because it's only making 10 monthly sales. But when I start over here instead, I'm seeing that, like, dang, this is only 3 months old, and 3.17% of the people that came to the listing also made a purchase. That might be something I want to look more into. And then I see this baby over here. And then that you see, like, how I'm looking at those listing or those metrics rather than the first two, because if I would have seen, 13 monthly sales, that might not have been as sexy to me. But then when I see these things, that meant this is absolutely performing right here, right now. Yeah. So that's something that I kind of do is go through those metrics first.
On that too, just a note, that has 600,000 views. That is clearly getting ads. They're pushing it crazy. Whereas that one has 700. That's more organic, and because it's organic, you're not advertising. You don't know how much money these people are spending for that. I know how much money I spend on ads, and I spend hundreds of thousands each year. I mean, I think last year was $280,000 in ads. So you don't know how much money that person's spending to get that 600,000. Whereas you see this other one only has 700. That's really good. That's completely organic, probably right there. Mm-hmm. On top of that, I mean, the amount of sales compared to that, and then you don't have to take in the ad spend. So I love that little tidbit there.
That's such a good point too. And I'll also build off of your point a second ago. I'm not sure if you guys do this already, but it is just natural instinct for me to just completely skip these first four every single time, no matter what I'm searching, because it's an ad by Etsy seller. So I basically want to see as organic as I possibly can. Yes, they might have drove things in the past to get that 600,000, but maybe they're not running ads to this particular listing right now. If I see these that are absolutely the purple little star and the ad by Etsy seller, like, I just pretend they're not there. I just move on to the next page or the next line, simply because I really want to look at the things that are driving sales now without having to put too much capital behind. So I'm glad you brought that up too, because that's like another little baby life hack that I use is I just pretend the first line isn't there, so I can actually get real organic data.
I like that. I've never done that. I always stare at everything that's being thrown in the ad, so I kind of like that, to just skip over.
True.
You don't exist.
Right. I also think, though, for you, it's 280K in ad spend, for example. My other thought would be, my caveat to that would be, if you are trying to spend ads, you have that capital and you want to reinvest in your business, these are absolutely worth looking at, because they are obviously they're doing something right. Hopefully, I don't know if they're converting, but what's interesting to me is every single one of these are between almost 50 to 60% off. So that is screaming to me that maybe that pricing strategy is what's working in ads in this particular space. So again, if I'm looking at organic things and trying to get a here and now, I usually skip these. But if I'm trying to make an executive decision on what ad spend or what ad strategy I want to do, I actually look at those more intentionally. So
and the sales, sales are psychological. So what happens is I run a sale every single day. So that it creates that timer and it creates the urgency, and a lot of things will pick up. Actually, Sunday is a huge day for me because they think on Monday I'm going to change it or have a different sale. So they get really nervous and start making more purchases on Sunday evening than any other time. But, I've never done the 50% off. I kind of keep it at 30, 35 because it seems more
it's a little hefty.
It seems more natural than a 50% off, but it's still psychologically the customers thinking that they're getting a deal, one, and then two, if you switch it up daily, people start thinking, okay, what's going to happen? Are they going to change it? And I change mine every day to say one day I'll have 30% and then the next day I'll have 25. So when they see it
Mm.
at 25, they're like, they think in their head, oh my God, I missed out on that 30%. Now they start checking it regularly. And then I hit them with
Mhm.
a 30 or 35, and now they instantly buy it immediately because
Of
they want
course.
to grab it.
Yeah. Or people could even just like immediately at that 25 because they're like, shoot,
Sometimes they
I
think,
missed
yeah,
it
it'll go
yesterday.
up.
It might go down.
Yeah. I mean, that does
Cool.
happen from time to time as well, but more
Yeah.
so though, they will wait and start favoriting things.
Right, of course. Speaking of that, that is something I did want to hit on really quickly. I don't know where it went that I did this earlier that I was trying to show you guys and now it's gone. But anyways, Everbee also has the ability to, yeah, I can't find it. I'll just make it myself. So we also have the ability to do favorites. So a lot of people are going to come in here and then click favorite because that's the Etsy way to do it. And then it'll basically, you're building your algorithm with Etsy by favoriting things because then of course the algorithm's going to be like, oh, well, I need to like send this to her more often because she said she liked this. We, however, are doing this for data purposes only. So what we're going to do on Everbee right here is click this little button that adds that listing to our Everbee research favorites. So there's two different places to go. This is going to basically build your Etsy algorithm for you. This is going to build your perfect list of listings that you want to dive deeper in and further research on. So I wanted to highlight that really quickly as well, because a lot of people miss that. It's like a very, very tiny little star, but that's huge because it allows you to basically self-curate the perfect list of things that you might want to come back to. So like what we were saying a second ago is I could be coming through here, I don't love that, but I really love that. So I'm going to highlight that one. And then maybe I come a little bit more. I'm not seeing anything I love. Oh, okay. Maybe that's almost, 12 months and it's almost 5%. Let's do that. So then I'm actually, again, conveniently saving time for myself by just scrolling, favoriting. And then I could go back into over here on our little panel. I could go into my favorites and then have them all in one place and be able to have, again, a curated list of things that I already curated myself that were guaranteed performing because we did like the bestseller concept and we're guaranteed with those 4 metrics that we already determined were like healthy and that they were helpful to us. And then we can start going through the rest of the stuff to determine if this is a niche, a product type, a design aesthetic, etc., that maybe we want to start getting into as well. So I did want to hit on that real fast before I moved on to anything else. So then the next thing I want to show you guys really quickly is this little button right here. Again, it's just an easy little button or you can click my little worker bee. Either one is going to take you to the same place. We're going to click on that and then that's going to take us over to the listing details. So these are like the high level listing details information. And then this gets you deeper down into more things. As you can see, there's way more metrics that we can dive into. The visibility score is basically what we say is like how often or how well is this being seen? Is their SEO where it needs to be? Is their title, their price, their thumbnail, etc. where it needs to be? We're going to basically build that score through those things. And then we're also going to have, you can obviously click view on Etsy if you want. It's going to take you directly to the listing, etc. And then at the top, I'll go down here in a second. That's my favorite part. But at the top, we also have shop details. Yeah, I'm like, that's what I'm like excited about. But another thing that we just recently added is like shop details and the ability to analyze the shop itself. So like if we found this, for example, which I think this is a little generic. I don't know if I would necessarily go this route per se for this one. It just happened to be the one I clicked on. But if we see something that's pretty unique and maybe we want to know like what else Master Outfit Co. has got going on, because like, I don't know about you guys, but that's like a beautiful number, especially being only like a year and a half old. It's really nice to be able to see also 251 total listings is driving that. That's awesome. Because not usually, a lot of people, especially on freaking YouTube, are like, go make 1,000 listings, go make 4,000 listings. And I think that is an awesome idea because it's a volume game. It's a very good strategy if we can get as many up that actually were data oriented, obviously.
That's the only strategy that I disagree with you on, is that one.
The volume game?
Yep, because I did
I'm
the
actually
volume
so
game
glad you say that because I don't like it either.
Yeah, I just go with making sure that you have the quality and then you chase that versus the amount of items.
Exactly, and that's kind of what I was alluding to here.
you know?
Yeah, because I think there's just so many other people on YouTube that are very, very focused. And I'm even talking like TikTok, like YouTube video creators, like doesn't matter what it is, like the volume game. Also, this is totally, totally random, but Amazon influencer program, for example, I am in that. And there are so many people that are saying volume game. So it's like the more you can put yourself out there, the more money you're going to make. But I was like, what if you just make good videos? Like, what if we just start there instead of
Yeah.
that? You know, same thing here, make good listings.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
that's what I
I've
personally
even
love here.
in some of my videos, I pull up, list ones that have like 3,000 listings, and then I'll pull it up and show how many have not sold in some of them,
Ooh,
20 months, 25 months, so on and so forth,
right.
2+ years, and it's zero. So they're just sitting there like holding you back.
Yep.
That's how I
That's
feel.
what
Especially
I,
go to your store and they have to go through pages. I mean, I'm not
yeah,
a page 15 Googler over here. So clearly your shop, goer is not going to do that either. They're not going to search
for sure.
endlessly. So that's how I
There's
feel about it.
actually, you probably already know this, but there's like this funny like e-com joke, and I hope that you do. I'm going to ask you and then see if you know it back. Where is the best place to hide a dead body?
Well, and
Oh, he doesn't. The second page of Google search.
I'm from Jersey, so
Or, yeah, no, you're like, the woods? I don't know. So it's either, of course, in this case, it could be the second page of Etsy search or the second page of Google search. Just like a funny little like e-com joke is like if you want to hide a dead body or if you want someone to not see you, do that. So that's
yeah.
what I
People are
personally
going to be
love
like, all
about
right,
this
let's not listen to George anymore. He's like hiding people in new construction
in
zones.
concrete. If y'all ever like looked me up as a person though, which George did, and I'm like, I don't know if you know how weird I am. I am like I'm a crime girly. I'm a true crime girly. So like all of my searches are based on like horror and stuff. So no, we're on the same boat. Don't listen to anything the rest of us say this entire time. But anyway, something that I wanted to just really like going back to the that concept of so many people say volume game is the only way, and I'm glad that George and I are just both like in agreement that I do not believe whatsoever that that is the best slash only strategy, and this is proof. So I wouldn't have known anything about Master Outfit Co. myself had I not had EverBee, because now I have the ability to, first of all, go through all of the listings and then see the high level details, go into see even more granular, obviously, metrics and information. But now I also have the ability to see that this person has got to be doing something right because they have less than 300 listings that are selling around 21 to 22,000 times. So I really
Yeah,
like
and
that ability to do that as well.
what's funny is in the school community, I actually posted one that they had. I think it was 2,800, if I'm not mistaken, and they've been in business for almost 10 years, and they have
Wow.
only 30,000 sales. So this just proves that point right there.
Mm, that's insane. So they had like, what is that, like 30 times the amount of listings?
They had 2,000 listings,
Plus,
not even selling. It was like 2012, if
dang.
I'm not mistaken. I'm just remember because I did it a
Yeah.
while ago. So, but I think it was 2012 listings out of the 2,900 that were not selling, and they've been in business for 9
Mm.
years, and they've only made 30,000 sales. So it's crazy to see this 17 months and has 21,000.
I'm just gonna do a little math real fast just to show you guys why we're hammering this home so much right now. Let's assume, and of course, if you're brand new, it might take longer, but let's assume you're a like seasoned Etsy seller and it takes you 7 minutes to build one listing from start to scratch. Let's just say from design all the way, like you have the design already built, but let's say from design to mockups to listing to SEO, etc. Let's say it takes 7 minutes to do that. He said 2,100 of them were not selling. That is 14,700 minutes. And if I divide that by 60, that's 240. That's almost the amount of listings this chick has.
Yeah.
245 freaking hours of work potentially. And that's like a very low amount of time to spend on a listing. You might spend like 20 minutes on a listing, especially if you're new. So like assuming that 6 to 7 like expert mark, that person could spend 245 hours just getting the listing live. So I hope that helps drive that point home.
Yeah, clearly.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. So anyways, that's what I wanted to show you really quickly too, is the ability, sorry for a little pop-up, for the ability to also see the shop details themselves. Okay. So then now I'm going to go back to listing details really quickly to show you what George and I were saying was our favorite part. This baby right here is completely new as of February 17th. So when we're recording this, it's the end of March. So it literally is like a month and a half, not even a month and a half old, but 2 weeks old, 2.5 weeks old is the ability to do this. So we used to, from February 17th through like March 15th, let's just say for about a month, we only had the ability to do the last 30 days. So basically, how well did this particular listing perform over the course of those, that date range in both sales volume and revenue. So on these days, it did well. Now, again, about 2.5 weeks ago, we have the access to see all of this. So we can go back 12 months, for example, and see that this went up 100%. So this particular listing over the past year has skyrocketed by about 100%. But it also shows us, this is what I personally use it for, is okay, but like at what time was it best? And of course, you guys probably would imagine around Mother's Day, it would get really heavy. So Mother's Day is around, let's say like May 15th through May 20th, give or take on the year. So obviously May 11th, it went high. I'm also going to assume, without looking at this, I'll put my hand in front of it. Without looking at this, I'm also going to assume leading up to Christmas, this is also going to be something that's good. So if I come over here, yeah, look at that. From December, basically, November 26th, so let's just say Thanksgiving through December 7th, it was on the rise again. So this just allows me to see that not only, this is something that's really, really important though, is not only is this a Mother's Day and a Christmas opportunity, but there is not, I don't think there's one day, there's literally one day. So this day right here, for some reason, I can't get my thing to go over, April 5th of 2024. That was the only day that had 0 sales for this listing.
They took a day off. They took a day off on that.
Yeah, right. They just like vacation for one day. So that tells me that like not only is it really, really good, there's a peak here and there's a peak here. So like December, of course, Christmas for gifting for your mom and Mother's Day. Like not only is those two the things that like can guarantee this is going to sell, but it's also evergreen because this person is making sales, even if it's just a couple sales every single day for this. So I'm able now to make the executive decision. Of course, I could also bring this down to 3 months, 6 months, and then see if that number's going down, which it is, by the way. So it's really helpful to have multiple different ways to look at this because, by the way, we're still like making sales every single day though, but there has been a little bit of a dip from December. My assumption here though, is if we go, let's say June, we go through June of this year and we do a 3 months in arrears look from, what is that, April, May, June, or like March, April, May, I believe this is going to say a growth rate of around 100% or more, simply because we are now taking a look at May, and then it might go down a little bit more in the summer, but it's still showing us that something is going right with this listing. So that allows me now to make an executive decision about maybe, is it the colors? Is it the thumbnail? Is it the lifestyle mock-up? Is it the aesthetic? Like maybe that kind of like cursive collegiate combo of fonts is doing really well right now. It just, the trends allow me to think about diving a little bit deeper and then seeing, is this the same on like a lot of other type of examples? Like, am I seeing this often? Maybe this is something I should hop on. So anyways, I just wanted to show that because that's kind of like my new favorite thing and I play with it pretty much every single day.
Yeah. I use it nonstop. I mean, when I saw that feature, ran out, bought a bottle of champagne, popped it. I was living life, all right, because I was loving every single moment of that. Really quick, I just want to touch note on this is, like Leslie said, you need to use this as inspiration. Don't think if you just copy this design, throw it online, that you're going to make money. You're not. Use it as inspiration to understand this is how they're making money. This is what they're doing. And like she said, is it the colors? Is it the style? Is it the mock-up? Just let it inspire you and then create your own.
Another good example here would be knowing that, I also, not a lot of people think like this. Again, I'm a nerd when it comes to data and stuff, but like, who else is a mom like during this period? Is it like dog moms, bearded dragon moms, grandmas, stepmoms, mother-in-laws, etc.? So like all of those kinds of things with this aesthetic might work. So maybe like grandma, or maybe people go by, I don't know, like mommy, like MAMI or something. Like, I don't know, just like different ways that you can like go about this without copying and pasting. Because something that I've said for years now is you are only helping this person when you copy them. You're not helping yourself, because they have a hell of a lot more sales than you do. And it's going to be like them versus you, and they have a lot more reviews, they have a lot more reputability, and a lot more social proof. So like if you have the exact same thing, 10 times out of 10, that customer is going to gravitate towards them. So by copying them, you are literally only putting more money in this person's pocket.
I seriously love that. I've never heard somebody say it that way before, but that is perfect. That is a great example, because it's true. If they end up finding your listing, this listing is going to be right next to it.
Yep. Something I've said for a while, and a lot of people don't like when I say that, but I'm like, it's up to you. It's like, do you want to give them free money?
Make a listing. Yeah, it's the truth.
Yeah.
By the way, a bearded dragon, I used to have one, and then my other bearded dragon ate the other one, so then they killed each other.
Oh, no. It's like you took me on a freaking roller coaster of emotion just then. I was like, oh.
I woke up one morning, one had it in the head, and then the other one that ended up committing suicide because he was upset that he killed the other one. So I was like, what?
Bro. So it's so funny.
Dragon, I was like, childhood,
No, so I actually, we're gonna go off tangent because I have a trauma bonding. So I had, have you ever seen the show or heard of it, One Tree Hill?
No.
Okay, so it's like this stupid like teen drama show from like the early 2000s that I was obsessed with. And there was these two brothers in the show called Nathan Scott and Lucas Scott, and they like hated each other, they fought, whatever. So then I got these two dwarf hamsters back in the day, and I named them Nathan and Lucas. And Nathan just took his little brain out. Like Lucas was no more. But Nathan did not feel bad. Like he's just living his life afterwards. So it's funny you said that, because I tell that story to a lot of people and they're like, that's weird. So I'm glad that we got to bond over that awkward time. Anyways.
Great. Well, good. You just killed your brother. Perfect. And then, he ended up getting to the top of the cage and just said, I'm going to fly. And that was the end of that. And he flew. Didn't land too well. So...
Dude, I'm literally crying. The way that you describe this bearded dragon's journey is killing me. That's so funny. I have to like keep blocking myself from the mic so I'm not screaming in y'all's ear. Anyways, just a little bit of trauma binding for you guys to enjoy. But the last thing I want to really quickly go over in the listing details section is the keyword research. So this is actually just the tags, like I mentioned earlier, that you have the ability to spy on what your competition is utilizing in their SEO strategy. I'm not gonna lie, George, I would love to hear from you too, but I am actually very surprised that this is doing so well strictly based on SEO only. Because what I'm seeing is a lot of very heavy competition pretty much for almost everything they're doing. And if not, it's something that's like not healthy, not unhealthy. So it's kind of there in the middle. How do you feel about these numbers being a little bit heavier on the competition and actually not so great as on the volume? I still think like anything over 100 is something to like look into, but even seeing some of these being between 200 to 400 and the volume even being low, how do you feel about these numbers?
I think that they are pushing ads outside of Etsy, and that's how they're able to compete in such big competition like that. A lot of people know that I'm in those niches, anything for birthdays, weddings, and, things like that. So mothers are very easy. Babies, I target them all the time. So targeting mothers is extremely easy, especially with Facebook ads. So I bet what they did was they pushed outside strategies, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And then what happened was, Etsy saw that they were getting sales and then pushed it. That's why they're doing so well in these high competition areas. That's
very smart. And I also want to
thinking based off of how many months it's been around. So it's a strategy that I use often, and I would assume that they're probably using the same, because on Facebook with Facebook ads, you could target mothers very easily.
Yeah. I also think that could be what we could use the shop details for, is go to their actual shop and then go to their about section and see, like, are they currently on Instagram? Are they currently on TikTok, YouTube, etc., or Pinterest? That would be interesting to kind of see, because I do agree that it looks like Etsy is sending things to them simply because traffic was already being driven and or conversions were already taking place. So it's basically the algorithm is like, oh, this thing is doing well, I should send more people to it, rather than this is an impeccable SEO strategy, because it is not. But it's interesting to me. It's surprising to me, but also like really cool to be able to see both sides. So what I'll really quickly, the reason why we went on that little tangent real fast is we have volume here versus the competition. So how many people are searching for this key phrase, keyword, long tail key phrase, whatever, how many people are searching for it versus how many people are competing for that space. And then we also at EverBee have a little metric that is solely inside of EverBee. It's not something that you guys need to like plug and play in Etsy or anything, but it basically means the volume of search versus the amount of competing listings times 1,000 equals the keyword score. So just so you guys know what that is, but I actually don't even really look at the keyword score as much as I look at these. So we basically have red, green, yellow. So just think about it like a stoplight. Green means probably good. Yellow means maybe we can try it. We can be cautionary towards it. So red means usually stop, So these are kind of like saying that the competition is a little bit too high for this particular phrase. So maybe what we could do, this is kind of what I use this keyword score for, is personalized mama shirt, personalized mama sweatshirt, personalized mama gift. Could we make this a little bit less on competition, but still stay comparable with that green volume? So that's kind of what I personally use it for. But this just really allows you the ability to be able to like look at what people are actually doing themselves on the individual listings. So with that said, I'm actually going to come over here real fast and do that exact thing. So if you go to the keyword research tool, you have the ability to, of course, start going through all of these, but you'll see we're currently looking at 39 million. So I wouldn't recommend it. So what I'm going to do is type in the same thing I just did a second ago. And now we're going to say Mother's Day gift has almost 5,000 in search. However, we're at 3.4 million in competing listings currently utilizing this exact phrase, hence why I'm getting a 0 keyword score. So what I like to do in this particular tool is come over to keyword score, and I just like to filter it. And I'm just going to basically flip it. So all of the ones that are a high keyword score, I want to bring to the top now instead. And something that I just want you guys to be so mindful and so cognizant of is the keyword score is a metric, like I said, that we build at EverBee. So it's not like Bible. It's not something that you absolutely should start copying and pasting. And there's also a lot of people who are typing things in incorrectly. There's 7 billion of us, 8 billion of us in the world that are all, not all on Etsy, but a lot of us are on Etsy, and we all are writing things wrong. Go away. So like, for example, Mother's Day gift with an E. A lot of freaking people type that in wrong. And of course, there's only 13 or 9 people that are actually utilizing it in their listings. So of course, there's a giant keyword score. So I just wanted to show you guys how we get to the keyword score, so you don't just take this and run with this and start copying and pasting these into your listings. Instead, what we want to do is, of course, you could totally come through here and be like, is there anything that I could use as a, keyword? So a quick example that I'm seeing immediately: personable kid name gifted for Mother's Day. It's actually a really interesting thing to maybe pop into your description or your title. Maybe not your tags, because that's like way too long for a tag, obviously. But it looks like 1,700 people, give or take, are looking that up. It's not misspelled, and only 9 people are currently competing for that space. So being able to find things like this is number one of why I go this strategy to filter that up. But then it also, sorry, I keep going over that.
Actually, try the one with the E on the end. I mean, spell check has ruined our life, so I'm going to try.
So like this one right here?
Yeah, with the E. I mean, I've never seen that before. I'm curious.
I'm actually interested too. I just want to see if this does. Yeah, it did. Okay, I just wanted to see if it was like comparable to what it was a second ago too. Because yeah, I mean, it's up to you. Like, people have asked me this so many freaking times: is should I, like, this is a 1,000 keyword score, should I use it in my tags? And I'm like, you live your own life. But Etsy tells us to not use things that are, you just do whatever you want. I don't care. But Etsy is like actively said, like, don't use misspelled words. So, or like hyphenated words that aren't actually hyphenated. So I just mostly use this. Of course, if there's the ability to find something like this, I'm like, oh, that's actually maybe a really good thing to like actually use as a tag. But I also like to scroll through this to figure out things that people are, even if they're spelled wrong and 1,700 people spelled it wrong, that means 1,700 people were interested in this. So like embroiderer, giftful, like all these weird words, we know they're spelled wrong, but maybe there's something that is like tying for trends or for demand. Maybe there's something that's telling me here that embroidery for moms is working. So that's what I like to really, really
So can
use
you
the
look up
keyword.
a keyword really quick that nobody
Yeah,
can
tell me.
ever spell right? Congratulations.
Oh, I thought you were about to give me something really hard. Now I'm nervous if I'm gonna spell it wrong.
When I get it right, I get excited.
What? That's actually wild to me. This is surprising.
There we
I
go.
would wonder if like congrats would have more. That's actually really surprising to me. I thought this would be way, way more competition.
Look at some of
Um,
these spellings. Here we go.
Congratful. Congratulation. It just sounds very like non-English speaking kind of thing. It's just really cute. But actually, this is actually a really good thing right here. Granted, no one is looking it up and no one's competing for it, but mental health gift box, celebrate congratulations. Again, I'm not by any means telling you to use this as a search term or use this as a tag or a title or anything, but being able to just look this up shows me that there might be a space or a demand for mental health gift boxes. This is also showing me that lyrics to music might be something that people are wanting in the congratulations space, whatever that means, you know, wedding, babies, birthdays, etc. So that's really what I like to do is come in here. Oh, this is interesting too. Again, it's spelled freaking wrong, but congratulate auntie, however you say that. The ant space, I'm from the South, so there's no U in my word. The ant space, being able to be like congratulating your aunt or aunt for whatever, for being a new aunt. You know, maybe they just had a baby and that's your new niece or your new nephew. Like even just seeing things like this, and that's what I really, really use the keyword research tool for, is less so actually finding keywords and more so finding new places that might be in demand, even if they're spelling them wrong. So anyways, that's what I like to use it for. Do you have any other things you want me to look up on this one, George?
No, I just wanted that because, you know, it's funny. I've never actually looked up the way that other people are spelling congratulations
Yeah.
because I know it's like one of the number one things. That's why everybody always says congrats.
Yeah, right? Dude, I wonder though, this is actually, I'm just thinking out loud. This is something that a lot of people do for graduation. So I wonder, okay, there's not a lot of those. So if we take off the L, congratulation, I wonder if that's there. No, okay, that's fine. So I just know a lot of people like will give like graduation cards where it says like congrats, you know, with a D. So I was wondering if anybody spelled it that way.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that one.
Yeah, especially because
listings.
that's coming up in the next couple of months too. So highly recommend looking in the grads space over the next couple of weeks as well. So anyway, so that's kind of what I use that one for. The last thing I really want to focus on with you guys today, I've kind of taken you all over the map with EverBee, but again, this is basically just like step by step how I go through it, is the product analytics tool. You saw a little bit of this a second ago while I pulled up the shop analyzer tool, or excuse me, when I pulled up my favorites. You saw a little bit of this that kind of shows all the different what do you call these, like columns and rows that we have. But basically, I'm going to really high level go over this, but this was my favorite tool prior to having those awesome new convenient upgrades that we've recently gotten. But I'm in the product analytics tool literally every single day, and you guys should be as well. So you'll see it's looking at a keyword. So basically I typed in Mother's Day gift, for example. You could also, by the way, just like X out of this and then put something else in. It'll do the exact same thing for you. But in this case, I'm looking up Mother's Day. And it's basically going to pull up every single listing that is currently utilizing this keyword or key phrase. Okay, so stick with me. What I like to personally do though is page results is basically the first page of Etsy. So the search results on page 1 for this, right? So what we're going to do instead immediately is click EverBee database, because we just went from 60 listings to 2.4 million. So that is like the first thing I do every single time is make sure that I go to EverBee database. The second thing that I do, because this is, I don't know about you guys, but I don't have all the time in the world to look up this and like go through all of these listings. So the second thing I do immediately, let's come over to the filter, and I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger. So I come over to filter and I put in a couple of different places that are going to give me a smaller, more fine-tuned list. The first thing I do is the listing age. Like I mentioned a second ago, I really like to focus on, is this actually performing right now? Or is it, 41 or 48 months old? I don't really want to look at those because those might have just stood the test of time and made a lot of sales at one point, but maybe they're not making a lot of sales now. So I like to put my listing age anywhere between 6 months to 12 months. Completely up to you guys, but let's just do 6 for today's purposes. Then I also like to look at the monthly sales. So you can see we already went from 2.4 million down to 591,000. So we're already fine tuning our list by simply making this one filter. The second thing I like to do is the monthly sales, because I want to make sure that it's only 2 months old, so they're actually killing it. But they're also what are they selling? That's actually a ridiculous amount of money. So for some reason, someone is selling $13,000. Y'all can look into that if you want, but you can see they only had 6 average monthly sales. I want to find people that are selling, let's say a minimum of 50 a month. So they are pushing 50 volume in sales minimum. And also this could be 100, this could be 2,000, depending on the niche that you're in, that might be, higher or lower, but let's just say 50. So now you can see that I have gotten this list down to 202 listings that now I can start going through if I'd like. The last thing that I do, however, of course, you do not have to do this at all. The last thing that I do is actually scroll over until we see shop age as well. This is another filter that I like to put in because this person, for example, has been around for 53 months. So maybe I don't want to get inspiration from them because they've been doing this for a hot minute. So I'm going to put my max shop age at, again, completely up to you, but let's just say 18 months. So let's say a year and a half. And that's going to now bring us down to 118 super fine-tuned listings that we can now start going through. And then basically when you click on it, the exact same thing that we went through a second ago is going to pop up. So it just allows us to be able to really have a data-driven list that, again, by the way, we can come and favorite all of these and then add them to your favorites in EverBee. So then now you have a perfectly curated list in multiple places, and you have a perfectly curated list of keywords in multiple places as well, that all basically happen by you typing in a couple of things and then just scrolling through and favoriting. So that is kind of probably the best, most robust tool that we have with EverBee is the product analytics, because you can see so much data in one place at one time. But I just like to make sure that people are fine tuning it as much as possible. So is there anything you want me to go through individually on this one, George?
No, I love that because I actually show this in a lot of my videos and I use it, but I've never actually showed them the drop down of the filters, which I do use, but I've never actually walked them through that. So I think that's amazing, especially, showing it and that they can actually use that. So I love it.
Sweet. Okay. Well, that is, like I said, I can keep talking for hours, but that's all I really
I want to talk about really quick is, would you be able to provide a quick overview of the email system? So I know a lot of people have questions about that, how that works, how that, how to send out emails, how to receive emails, things like that. They're just trying to, do customer service, but in addition to that, get more traction, get customers back. So they know that emails is still very important for marketing, but not exactly sure how to use it.
Yeah, so we actually, let me present my Google Chrome again. All right, so over here on your little panel, as you can see, there's EverBee apps. So you have the ability to choose whichever one you want. So we'll just go to email, for example. I'm not going to have really good stats to show you or by any means, but at least just kind of show you how it's supposed to be utilized. Let's see if I can get this. Go away, buddy. All right, so over here, you basically have what emails you're sending out, automations. This is also something, I'm glad you brought this up because I totally forgot about. Let's see, I want to say again, probably around that November, December of 2024 time, we actually added the ability to have workflows. So automated workflows where if someone comes in, they get these triggers that they could be sent different things. And that's something that's kind of brand new last year as well. There's also the Grow tab, which I will go over in a second, which is where you build your landing pages and your opt-in forms. And then you also have your subs. So who actually is in the list with you. So I'll basically just go line by line, just really, again, high level to kind of show you guys. So at any time you can create, and of course, this depends, I'll just let you know, just to be transparent with you, so you don't think this is all like free. You do have to pay for EverBee email as a service. So it's not something that's included with EverBee Research. It would be an additional like kind of platform that you would have. They go really, really well in tandem together, of course. But the best part, in my opinion, about EverBee email is even if you don't have an Etsy store and you don't want to do EverBee Research, you can have EverBee email, because it's literally for anybody who sends emails online. So depending on what level you're at within EverBee email is how many lists you are allowed to have, how many subscribers you are allowed to have, and then of course how many like landing pages, opt-in forms you're allowed to have as well. So just wanted to say that really quickly up front. So let's say we wanted to create
really quick, just to stop you there. I do love that it has a landing page, because then you don't have to create one. You don't have to have a website, which is amazing. Because how I do all my email marketing is I have a website, a landing page. I have to go to that, so I have to pay for this hosting and that and things. So to be able to create that in one system is great, and it's kind of worth the money just in that sense.
That's so true, because I actually, I personally, just because I've been with them for 2 years, I personally use a totally different email marketing platform, but it is ridiculously expensive. It's very, very robust, which I say it is worth it, but it is so expensive that it's never something that I like encourage newbies to email marketing to do.
People ask me all the time, they're like, well, what do you use? I'm like, well, mine's like $300 a month, so I don't think you want mine.
Right. That's what I say time and time again, because mine's the exact same, but I also have 20 lists, and I have honestly, I probably would say like 45 landing pages. Like, it's really, really wild. So you guys will not hopefully need that. So this is a really, really good one, especially if you are a beginner and or especially if you are selling on Etsy. This is going to be the best one in my opinion. I think there's 3 of them, and this is one of them that is very Etsy, I don't want to say focused by any means, but really, really helpful to Etsy sellers, because you can connect your Etsy shop and immediately pull in products from your Etsy shop into these emails. So that's what I personally love.
Oh, that's cool.
So let's just say we call this like past customers or something. You can do that, and then you can either add subscribers manually, import subscribers from a list, etc. But just to be very mindful not to go too deep into email marketing today per se, but being very mindful of how you receive or retrieve the information that you're getting from people. They do have to opt in. So it's not something that you can just start like importing some emails from Etsy. Like, it does have to be, they have to have the ability to do 2 things. Number 1, they have to have the ability to agree to receiving marketing emails from you, usually through an opt-in form. And then number 2, they have to have the ability to unsubscribe at any time. So we're gonna have that built into the EverBee platform. But again, if you wanna do it manually here and you already got their like pre-approval, by all means, you can pop them in here. And then the other tab, if I can get this open real fast, is the Grow tab. To be honest, I don't know why it's called Grow, but it's basically where you like are growing your list, I guess, is why it's called that. But this is the location where you're going to have forms. So like you can have like, I don't have one created in here myself, but you can have something that like is, I'm just trying to think of an example. So let's say it was like a digital download freebie that you were giving or something, and you wanted to like collect their information on a form before they got the digital freebie. That's what that would be. And then the landing page is going to be the location where, let me just open this up and I'll show you. It's going to be the location that looks like this. So this is that pre-approval for them agreeing to receive marketing emails from you in some capacity in the future. What we have the ability to do in here is change all of this pretty much. So you can have, let's say you want to do a 10% off or 25% off something, some kind of incentive that gets them to say yes to getting on your email list. You'd pop that right here. And then you'd give a little bit more information. They'd give this to you, and then they would automatically be synced into, you'll see like how many subscribers, etc. They would automatically be synced into your subs list. The other thing that I really, really like about this when you're building out a landing page of sorts is it actually also comes with its custom QR code. Could you make a QR code yourself? Could you go on Canva and make a QR code? Absolutely. But it's just, again, just one of those convenience things that it's kind of right here. And then this is something that you could add to your banner on Etsy, one of your thumbnails, or one of your, not mock-up photos, but like one of the 10, slideshow that you have there. You could pop this on your Instagram, your TikTok, your YouTube, your Pinterest, etc. And then it's just a really easy thing that, like, as long as they scan it, they get to be taken directly to your landing page to be able to opt in to receive your emails. So I like that. This is also really helpful, by the way. I work with a lot of handmade sellers too. That's actually what I started in, was I was doing handmade home decor. So I work with a lot of handmade sellers that go to trade shows or go to like markets, like farmers markets on the weekend. So we actually put their QR codes like on their business cards. So it just automatically gets them like added to that email list, which is kind of cool. And then again, going back to what I said a second ago, depending on what tier you're in EverBee email, you can have more than one landing page. So this is something that really helps me out personally. That's why I said earlier, I have like 45 landing pages, because personally, if I have multiple lead magnets, again, we're getting a little deep now, but I'll just go ahead and hit it. Multiple lead magnets that I want to personally test, I need multiple landing pages, because I kind of need to see which lead magnet did better and then land on a winner and then just keep perpetuating that one. So that allows you to have like as many of these as you want, again, based on which tier you currently are in. And then the last little piece is obviously the emails themselves. So what is actually happening? Like, what are you actually sending them out? If we go here, click single campaign, this is basically allows you to build just like a random email. So let's just say like I'm just going to make this up, like for Easter or something. So like April 20th or whatever, we're like, hey, happy Easter. Hope you have a great day, whatever. That's what this guy is going to be, your single campaign. But if we want something that's going to be a little bit more sequential, so it's going to be basically someone does something and then they get a certain number of emails to follow. So a quick example could be someone subs. So someone opts into our list and I want to provide them with a 5-part welcome sequence. That's where this one's going to be. So we have single campaigns that are just your one-off emails. We have email sequences that can be built multiple times. And then of course, like I mentioned a second ago, we also have workflows now, which allow things to happen based on actions that the person takes. So I'll just quickly walk you guys through the single campaign real fast. Very simple. It basically says like, do you want to send it now or later? So another really cool thing about EverBee email, which I can't do in mine, which is ironic because I pay way more, way more money than I should. Yeah. I can schedule them, but I can only schedule them for up to like 6 months, which I don't know why you're making.
Yeah, I can schedule it into how many people I want, even based on like every 15 minutes, send it to just 5 people if I wanted to. It's like all over insane. But again, it's $300 a month. So
well, that's what I'm saying. You know what? Maybe mine is, I'm just not smart enough.
Yeah, much better alternative than what I use.
Yeah, right. But this does allow you, this was kind of cool, is this, you can go like as far and like to the future as you want. So let's say I wanted to do like March 2026, like you can do that. Not like you would or whatever, this is a year from now, but just like as an example, you can kind of go as far into the future as you like.
Plan for your future.
So this is yeah, what's up?
Plan for your future.
I mean, like a year from now. I mean, honestly, we're always talking about 5 or 10 year plans. So it's up to you guys. But what I really like to do is anything that's like a holiday or something that we are like really, really focusing on that happens at the same time every year. Like, for example, I was telling George a little bit about my story before we jumped on, that I was in the student apartment industry for like 10 years before coming into like this industry. And we always had what was called turn. So you would basically like kick the people out of their apartments in July, move the new people in August. So it was like the turnover period. And that happened every year, the exact same time every single year. So I could literally curate the next 5 years of emails for that time if I wanted to, because it's something that happens all the time. So that's an example here of something that you could like send later, or it could be as simple as, I really hope you guys are good at batching and just kind of like being very like preparatory. So if you're even like on March 27th, for example, if you're getting your emails stacked and ready to go for all of April, you could just do this too. So like send now, or send April 4th, send April 11th, send April 16th, etc. And then you can also determine the time, which again, depends on how long you've been doing email marketing, but usually you want to go for the time that like the highest open rate usually takes place for your people, but you will start to find that as you start to send emails. So 12 p.m., people are on lunch. 8 a.m., people are like getting ready to go to the office. 6 p.m. people are kind of tuning down and scrolling through their phones. So you can kind of play with like those a little bit to see if that also makes sense for your people, of course, depending on where you're at in the world. And then the to location is just what is this going to be? So let's just say prospects. I don't even know if I have this in here. There we go. Let's just say, we want to have the prospects in there. And then also let's say like past customers. So you can put, as you can see, the new little plus came up. You can have this be sent to prospects, past customers, people interested in digital products, whatever it is, like whatever list or tags that you have built, you can do that, or it could only be for prospects. So that's a really cool thing too, where you don't, hopefully, again, if you guys know anything about email marketing, you're not sending the same email to the same people every single day. You are curating emails that are going to make sense for that individual person or that individual people group. And then you're doing maybe a different verbiage or a different email or a different offer to this list instead. So we can put, again, as many or as few as you want in there. And then we'll just pop our subject in here. And then this little guy is kind of what I was alluding to with why EverBee is so good for Etsy, is you also have the ability to click like shop name here so that you can like it would immediately pull in your Etsy thing. Hey George, can you still hear me?
I think I lost you.
Can you still hear me okay?
Now I can hear you. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened. It was being weird. Yeah, it was just like circle, and I was like, I'm back. Anyway, so we can pop that there. And I just mentioned this little thing here, this little lightning bolt allows you to have the shop name. And that's what I was alluding to with it being a cool thing for Etsy sellers, because it'll automatically be like, let's just say, welcome to shop names email list or something like that. So anyway, there's that. And then these little buttons, you can just press the pluses on. And then we have all of these different things to put in here to actually build out your email. So let's say we say text. So, hey, hi, name, welcome to blah, 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 blah. Happy you're here, whatever. So, and y'all know I spelled your wrong, of course. Whatever. And then we could also add in a button that would, let's just say we want this to take them to their Etsy store. And if we also wanted to do a product, for example, we can also, that's what I said a second ago, also is you have the ability to put your products in here. It's funny, we were talking about bearded dragons earlier because this is a gecko. So perfect timing. But this is an example of like a pet Hawaiian shirt AI thing I was making the other day, for example. And then you can put like, how many products do you want to show? And then it would actually take them directly to that listing on Etsy. So that's why I was kind of saying that this could be really, really, really helpful for Etsy sellers. But also if you're not on Etsy, this is still a very intuitive and helpful email marketing system as well. And then of course you could just schedule it to go live to that particular list at that time. You can send a test to yourself to make sure everything looks okay and is stacked appropriately, or of course you can always save it as a draft as well.
I'm going into email marketing very soon on my channel, so this at least gets everybody ready for that. But I mean, there's a lot of in-depth, a lot of workflows. I'm all about automation. I don't have time to be sitting there and making sure I'm sending emails. So I want emails sent out nonstop.
Right.
So
absolutely.
I like that it actually has workflows now, which is amazing. It's very important.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that is, unless there's anything else that we want to talk about, like EverBee wise, that is as high level as I could possibly go, while also still giving you guys some tips and tricks. That is kind of the meat and potatoes of it.
No, I think that's amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. You have you're on EverBee's channel, so I'm going to link that below. And do you have your own channel at all, or no?
Oh my God. So I actually, I was on YouTube for like 3 months and then I was kind of like really focused with, EverBee videos as well. But by all means, if you guys want to find me in my own personal life, it's Evolution Designs, spelled a little bit weird. It's EVOLUSHEN. And that's just because I am mostly focused on helping female entrepreneurs. So there's like the SHE in there.
I will leave that below as well, and I am going to consider myself a female entrepreneur, so you can help me.
I always say, it's so funny, it's one of my little taglines is I help female entrepreneurs and female loving male entrepreneurs. So as long as you respect females, you can be in my group.
Well, thank you again so much for joining me, and obviously my community. I know they appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. So thank you so much.
For sure. Thank you guys so much for having me again. It was an honor.
Yeah, I will talk to you later. And I hope to
Okay,
have you on it
sounds good,
soon.
guys. All right, sounds good. See ya.